According to my current scientific train of thought, this planet is the place I was originally born. The surface was a battlefield and heaven dropped the bombs. Who would think this hellish hinterland would be my future home? But the seeds of my conception had already been sown as the molecules of nature that had gathered and grown in the hot acidic waters that had covered the globe. But how they turned into me, I just really don't know. As the non-living organic carbon-based molecules mingled together for 500 million years, I suddenly appeared as something living. This abiogenesis is the beginning of the story that I'm telling here. I started as a simple cell and settled for a while, devouring and replicating into different styles and domains called archaea and bacteria, and living as a chemolitho, autotrophic hyperthermophile. I constantly adapted to the changes in my premises, spending many generations building up my fitness. But when I started dabbling in all this photosynthesis, how was I to know I would become my nemesis? As I captured the CO2, stripping off the carbon, I made my own sugars as a food for surviving. But the rising oxygen levels that I had been supplying was a poison to my early life, and so I was declining. Now halfway along the timeline of my life, on a 3,600 million year ride, I was making new cells with the nucleus inside, and when compelled to divide, that's where I kept my design. I was known as eukaryote, meaning true nucleus. So a prokaryote is what exists without this, and after things started reproducing through sex, I became multicellular and more complex. But as things were heating up, the world started to freeze on a snowball earth with ice covering the seas. But above appeared the ozone made from O3, which defended my delicate cells from UV radiation. So now I could emerge from the ocean as the glaciers retreated and the world got less frozen. I developed many new configurations, and that presence everywhere is called the Cambrian explosion. I'd grown the main branches on my family tree and explored my new forms in primordial seas. But now at 500 million years before JC, I'm venturing onto the land on my primitive feet. So as plants stayed put, I was roaming the beach, leaving tracks like a millipede. See, that's me, but there were no plants on land cause they were still in the sea, with vertebrates getting jaws and developing teeth. See, beneath the water surface I'd received a good start, reaching the top of my food chain as a predatory shark, and the land was dominated by my seed-bearing plants, right along with the insects who joined in the dance. I'd also found a way to travel using 4 limbs. These tetrapods evolving on my amphibians. Then the reptiles appeared on the land, stepping in with the new type of egg within a special outer skin. I'd even started flying as an insect doing air stunts, but then a huge catastrophe, my biggest disappearance. I'm trying not to cry and reminiscing the experience. 250 million years before your presence, the Permian to Triassic or PT intermission, where 96% of marine species went missing, while 70% on land was wiped from existence. That's why I call this event the mother of all extinction. But still I kept on growing, I'm not that easy to terminate. Success of my existence is inheritance of DNA. It took me many millions of years to recuperate. Now it's the age of the dinosaurs and my first flying vertebrates. These pterosaurs who soared over all of the animals, saw lands from angles that for hunting's more practical. As turtles and the first flies joined the life's battle, I celebrated the appearance of my first mammals. But again within the ocean all is not right. The land has been shifting but I'm putting up a fight. It's extinction to 50% marine life, but I've learned adaptation is the way to survive. While early butterflies and moths called Lepidoptera flutter by the ferns hugging jungles of conifers. The land is Jurassic, no Park, no Attenborough. 150 million years before the calendar, but now the Jurassic's given over to the Cretaceous, the chalky age when the white cliffs were created. The biggest ever reptiles had land dominated, and the birds were quick to vary as they spread and radiated. And the first ants, termites and snakes were encountered, while bees co-evolved to boost the reproductive power of the angiosperms, the new plants that grew flowers with seeds in a fruit that was easily devoured. My survival on this planet seemed reliable, but looking in the sky, a shining light, is that a fireball? Boom, dust cloud, I can't see the light no more. Gonna be okay, but that's the end of my dinosaurs. That was 65 million years into the past, and the Chicxulub crater is the relic from the blast. And although about 3/4 of my species were lost, the rest diversified. I guess that everything has got a cost. Some reptiles survived in a way that is encouraging, becoming modern birds, and the numbers are flourishing. I'm hovering above and I can see my life recovering as reptiles, insects, plants and amphibians, but in amongst the landscape of my dense forest coverings, it is now my mammals who dominate the surroundings, with insect and meat eating parents out foraging, and cubs that rely upon the breast for their nourishing. Acknowledging these years about the next 50 million, mammals were the most astonishing in my opinion. They had the neocortex on the brain that was brilliant. It boosted mental functions, making mammals more resilient. It spread the dominion to the skies and to the oceans, as bats and cetaceans, aka whales and dolphins, and the land was provoking the future forms into the open like marsupials, elephants, felines and rodents. And now I'm at the moment that things are getting exciting, in the order of the primates which are still diversifying into monkeys, and then the greater apes that were divided as gorillas and chimpanzees, but with more refining they evolved into a tribe, arriving much into my liking with the habit for bipedalism, two-legged walking. But then I'm trying to converge upon the time and they emerge as modern humans, but as yet I'm still deciding. My brain size is rising, it's time for revolution. I'm sharper with my mind and I'm handier with solutions. I'm mindful of the mammoth and saber-tooth evolution, but the rest of my story is better used up on the humans. The two using primates, assuming new attire. They must have found it cold because they kept on starting fires. What a skill they acquired to be harnessing the heat. But even better in the story, I was starting to speak. And then language, singing music, sculpture, art, religion, agriculture, sparks the Neolithic revolution, recreation, trade, war and urbanization. Enjoying the freedom offered by some civilization. I think therefore philosophy, in fact it's mostly lost on me until I get a feel and check it out experimentally or mentally. The pinnacle of life throughout the centuries, developed in science to understand what I'm meant to be. So what's it mean to me? It's still a mystery. I'm seeking in these recent centuries of my memory. I'm measuring the world and my place in its history. Take pleasure when I come across new types of technology, the steam engines and then electrical energy, these medical remedies and computers. But it's gonna be that one thing's friend is another thing's enemy. It's like the humans thrive at the expense of the rest of me, but I gotta hand it to them. They're strong in wisdom, giving me a voice and these many ears to listen. I spent some billions of years on this earth in prison till they got me into space on their planetary missions. One of my many afflictions is to feel mass extinctions, but it's my diversity that's given me resistance. And now I found a species with superior intelligence. I hope they use it properly to further our existence.